what are you reading?
Hi Claire, I'm reading the Jesus Storybook Bible. Hi everybody. I love this book. I'm really enjoying doing lessons from it. Hope you guys are too.
Yeah, I think we must be on like week 9 by now, but I can't remember all the stories that came beforehand. Tim, can you help me?
Yes, let's go over them really quickly. The first week we looked at the fact that this book, the Bible, is God's word to us. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, I've got the next week. The next week God made the world and everything in it.
He did. He made it perfect. The next week we learned about how the snake told Adam and Eve a terrible lie and how that messed up God's perfect world.
Yeah, and then it got even worse and there was a flood and God saved Noah's family.
He did. And then the people that came next after that, they decided to try and build a massive tower to get back to God.
But that was no way to get to God. That would never work. After that was Abraham and Sarah, and they were really old, but they had a baby. And God made them lots of promises that their family would be enormous.
They did, even though they were very, very old. And God had to teach Abraham to trust him. And he showed him that through his son Isaac.
Oh, and then last week there was the mix-up between the two brides.
There was. And this week, well, you'll have to wait and see about this week.
Oh, TV! I want to watch TV!
Hey, I was watching that.
But I want to watch this channel because it's better.
My channel's far more interesting than this. Ugh.
Fine, I'll go get Mummy and Daddy. Now let me.
Hey, that's not fair. You're always the favourite.
Much like my children, all children bicker. But today's story is about some brothers that took it even further. This story is called The Forgiving Prince. Jacob had 12 sons, but of all his sons, Joseph was the favourite. One day, Jacob gave Joseph a splendid new robe. It was beautiful and rich with all the colours of the rainbow. But it made Joseph's brothers jealous. They wanted rich rainbow robes too. Then, to make matters worse, Joseph kept on having these dreams. I dreamt I was the greatest. I was king, Joseph told his brothers, and you all bowed down to me. Now, I'm sure you know, even if Joseph didn't, that telling your brothers things like that isn't a good idea. Joseph's brothers hated him even more. They wanted to kill Joseph and his dreams. And one day, that's exactly what they tried to do. They tore Joseph's rainbow robe off him and sold him to slave traders for 20 pieces of silver. The traders took Joseph to Egypt and made him into a slave. The brothers went home and lied to their father, telling him that Joseph was dead. That's the end of the dreamer, they thought. But they were wrong. God had a magnificent dream for Joseph's life, and even when it looked like everything had gone wrong, God would use it all to help make the dream come true. God would use everything that was happening to Joseph to do something good. Meanwhile, though, things were not looking good for Joseph in Egypt. He was far from home and from his dad. Then he got blamed for something he didn't do, and even though he had done nothing wrong, he was punished and thrown in jail. But God had not left Joseph. Tim, wake up! It's the middle of the day.
Oh, I must have fallen asleep watching TV. Oh, I was having a dream. It was brilliant. There was loads of people there, and you were there, and I had a sports car and a big house, and we were by the beach. It was amazing. I was somebody important. It was a great dream. I wonder what it all means. Much like my dreams, dreams feature in today's story a lot as well. Do you remember, Joseph is now in Egypt. He's in jail, but God hasn't left him. Here's where we pick it up. One night, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, had a scary dream about thin cows gobbling up fat cows. What on earth did it mean? He didn't know. But Joseph was a dream expert, so Pharaoh sent for him. It means a famine is coming, Joseph explained. There won't be enough food. Pharaoh was so pleased by Joseph's skill that he immediately took Joseph out of jail and made him a prince. Now back home, Joseph's brothers had run out of food and everyone was hungry. God's special family was in danger. If they didn't get food soon, they would starve to death. So Joseph's brothers travelled to Egypt to buy food. They came and they knelt before the new prince. His brothers didn't know that the prince was Joseph, but Joseph knew who they were. Joseph's dream, the one about his brothers bowing down to him, was coming true. "It's me!" Joseph cried. When they saw it was Joseph, his brothers were afraid. They had wronged Joseph. They had sinned and they knew it. Now Joseph would certainly punish them. But Joseph looked at his brothers and his eyes filled with tears. Even though his brothers had hurt him and hated him and wanted him dead, in spite of everything, he couldn't stop loving them. His heart, which they had broken, filled up with love, and Joseph forgave them. Joseph threw his arms around them. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Behind what you were doing, underneath everything that was happening, God was doing something good. God was making everything right again." Joseph didn't punish them. He rescued them. He brought God's special family to live safely with him in Egypt. One day, God would send another prince, a young prince whose heart would break. Like Joseph, he would leave his home and his father. He would be sold for pieces of silver. He would be punished even though he had done nothing wrong. But God would use everything that happened to this young prince, even the bad things, to do something good, to forgive the sins of the world.
Wow, Tim, there was a lot in that story, wasn't there?
There most certainly was. Some of it was really good and some of it, well, it seemed a bit less good to me. I don't know what you think.
I know. Joseph starts at home with his dad and things are going really well. He feels safe and loved.
That's really good. But then Joseph's brothers sell him and he gets taken to Egypt and he ends up in prison.
Yeah,
that's really bad.
That's bad. And then Pharaoh needs a dream interpreting and Joseph does so well that he gets made into a prince. Well, that's really good.
That is. And then Joseph's brothers arrive and they're afraid and they see Joseph. And that's really bad.
Yeah. But Joseph still loves his brothers and he forgives them. And that's really good.
There were lots of ups and downs in today's story, weren't there? Sometimes things went well and sometimes things seemed like they were going really wrong.
But God was putting Joseph in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, if the brothers hadn't sold Joseph, he wouldn't have been in Egypt.
And if he hadn't been in Egypt and been put in prison, then he wouldn't have got a reputation for interpreting dreams.
And if he hadn't been able to interpret Pharaoh's dreams, he would never have become a prince.
And if he hadn't been made a prince, then the family that Abraham promised would have died out because they wouldn't have had any food.
Yeah.
As Christians, it's sometimes tempting to think that only good things will happen to us.
And sometimes when we think things have gone really, really wrong, actually we can't see it, but God's got us exactly where he needs us, exactly when he needs us there for his bigger plan.
Hey Tim, we had lots of plans that got changed. We were meant to be going away with our friends in the big house by the seaside, and we were meant to be going camping, and all these plans got changed.
Yeah, I bet you guys have got loads of plans that haven't happened over the last few months either. And it's really easy to be annoyed or even cross when these things don't happen. But we've got to remember that through all of this, God is still in charge.
Yeah, God still has a plan for us. So we know why we had to stay at home to stop us getting the coronavirus. But we don't always know what's happening, but we can always know that God is in charge.
Jesus, when you died, it looked like a failure. All your friends had gone. They thought it was over. Jesus, when you died, you did not deserve it. This was all God's plan. You knew it was worth it. Thank you, Jesus, thank you that you died for us. We will always thank you, Jesus, thank you that you died for us on the cross. Jesus, when you died, there you were forsaken. Through your sacrifice, all our shame was taken. Jesus, when you died, you did it on purpose. You showed us your love. You did it to serve us. Thank you, Jesus, thank you that you died for us. We will always thank you, Jesus, thank you that you died for us on the cross. Jesus, when you died, all our sin was paid for. Now we're free to live the life that we were made for. One